Stan.
What's up, Sam? How are you?
I'm good. We got Stan with Terminal Nation here, formerly Jungle Juice era. We are going to talk about a few things today. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is how we met.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's get
It's been a while.
A little bit, several years. I was saying to you about first real memory I have of you, and I think it was when we had that meeting at Juanita's for the street team for Vino's.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm remembering it happening at Vino's. Maybe it happened at Juanita. Maybe it was both. I don't know.
Yeah.
Was it upstairs at Juanita's?
It was downstairs.
Okay.
It was on the top deck over there where they usually do the merchandise and stuff. And we kind of like set chairs out.
Oh, yes. I think you're right. Yeah.
And then we had Evan there and you and Tasia. And a couple other people. I think
Ted maybe
Ted.
like Jake Garrett at the time.
Yeah.
And
It's
a few others. Yeah. Joe Crippen, I think, might have been there.
Okay.
Feel like I remember this because we had the badges.
We did. I made y'all official too.
Yeah. And it was like, did you take my picture? Do you remember?
I don't know.
Somebody took my picture.
Yeah.
And it was
me or Haley.
okay. It was terrible. It was terrible. And they're like, and then the next meeting we had, they're like, here's your badge. And I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm official. And then I look at, it, I was like, oh my god. Yeah. Well, there was no like, selfie era DMV courtesy in this. They're just like, okay, we got your picture, you're good. We're like, now when you go to the DMV and they take your picture for your license, they'll be like, check it out, what do you think, you want to do another one, whatever.
Yeah,
but
they'll give you
I didn't get that, so I was like, yeah, I'm on the street team, but you'll just have to take my word for it because you're not looking at my badge. Badge.
We send y'all out to do like promo and all kinds of stuff, and like you could get into shows for free, and like we had like little incentives for you guys. It was actually really fun.
It was cool. It was fun. It was fun.
It was like if you slang tickets, then you get in free. And,
yes.
If you like sold 10 tickets, then you can get 2 people in free. Like we do little stuff like that all the time.
If you paint the upstairs of Juanita, you get it for free until you get kicked out of a show. Whoops.
Which happened a couple of times.
Sure.
It's all good. People talk about how hard you mosh, you know what I mean, nowadays, but you're intimidating dude now, so people would just
I tend to forget, I guess.
But back in the day, you were pretty brutal. Yeah.
It's kind of embarrassing to reflect upon, I think. But
it's okay. I remember these days, so I have to talk about it. Because people think about you and they think about where you are now. Like a lot of these kids that are in the scene don't know your history and they don't know where you come from. I think about it from that perspective that it didn't happen overnight.
Totally.
We all curated these things.
Yeah. And then these things come in waves. Mm-hmm. There might be kids who spent their pandemic watching 856 videos online, and then they're like, oh, something similar to this is going on in Arkansas, let me check it out. So like Second Life, for an example, we saw them a couple weeks ago, and then the other day, but like they have kids come to their shows that are like moshing and like singing along, and I'm like, who the hell are these kids? I'm like, these kids don't even know me. No. I like good for them. It's good energy. I feel like things are starting. For a long time, it was like new kids was like college age kids.
Yeah.
Which was weird because me and you have similar stories. I feel like in terms of discovering music, where it was like 12, 13, 14 years old, and we're like, this stuff on the radio sucks. I want something like.
This wasn't
it has more
that
bite.
Void.
Yeah. So we were like searching for underground music. I feel like that really for a long time, it was like college age kids that were like, "Oh, I'm coming to my first show," which is, it's good. You get in when you get in, but like, I feel like we're kind of coming back to what at least the ethos of hardcore punk, even like underground metal, is like, hey, they discover early through like their angsty teenage years, and then they come in, which is the perfect time to do it. And I feel like things are starting to get like that now, so that's cool.
I like seeing it. Like even taking my nephew over there and bringing some of their friends to these shows recently. They're obsessed with Terminal Nation. By the way,
that rocks.
Like they were.
Tell them to come to the Frozen Soul show.
Oh, they'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been bringing them as much as I can because I really feel like for me, especially whenever I was young and I discovered music, it was an escape from the things I had to deal with, like bullying and
absolutely,
maybe a questionable home life.
Yeah.
And so all those things that were aggravating me and making me feel depressed or down, when I would come to a show at Vino's or something like that, it would be a completely different vibe for me, and I would be surrounded by people that just feeling the same way I was and just rocking the hell out and getting it out of them, you know.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
And I felt like, you know, they're dealing with what they're dealing with. You know, I wanted to show them something that worked for me,
right,
you know, that
right.
helped me cope with some of those, you know, adversities that I was faced with, you know,
absolutely.
as a...
And times have, I hate the expression that I'm about to use, but times have changed, you know, like there's things that like, you know, we're not that far apart in age, but there's things that like, that we had to deal with when we were younger. Like, you know, like you said, just bullying, just shithead behavior, asshole kids, whatever. But like, I feel like, you know, for me, maybe junior high, high school for sure, was like when MySpace started to become a thing. Yeah. But MySpace was still like the alternative kids. Yeah. You know, it wasn't like, for the most part, not everybody had MySpace. When Facebook came along, everybody had that shit.
Oh, yeah.
But now, like, you have kids that are like in middle school that have Instagram accounts and that are like, you know, and then with social media, like, I don't know. I feel like growing up now is probably significantly harder than it was for me when I was.
Yeah, I feel like
in a different way, you know.
Yeah, well, all eyes are on you. It's easy to find and dig up stuff on people nowadays.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Especially if you are a kid that is participating in social media. You know, people do bullying through text messaging and stuff like that. You know,
and just
easy access,
the exposure to that, and just like
your life is on viewpoint. All the time.
You got eyes on you all the time. Like. Yeah. I don't know. I was very like into Zanga and then MySpace.
Oh yeah,
but like I said, it was like, you know, it was my escape from school because it was like I had my internet friends and I had my school friends and I talked to my internet friends after school. Yeah. But it was MySpace. I feel like at least the timeline or the circle was like the weird kids, you know, or the alternative or whatever. But now like everybody has an Instagram. Instagram's not just like, you know, the people with colored hair or whatever.
It's
so like everybody looks at you and like, you know, you have to just look at these unrealistic expectations in terms of like what kids are exposed to. It's just, I feel like it's a lot rougher for kids.
It is.
So like if you need an outlet, I can suggest a good one. You know?
yeah, definitely. I think that coming to shows, I know especially from like our group of friends, we're very accepting, and we also look out for the younger kids that are there. If I see a teenager there, I'm probably gonna like watch what they're doing, not because I'm being creepy, but because like I feel an obligation. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big sister or something.
Yes,
you know what I mean? I can't tell you how many times like parents.
Supervisor.
When I worked at downtown, I worked at downtown in Vino's and Juanita's and Village and all those places, I would have parents calling me or messaging me online saying, "Hey, will you keep an eye on my kid?" Like, you know, they come to a lot of your shows. Like there's a lot of kids that they don't know that their parents, you know, asked me to keep an eye on them.
Wow.
Because they were they wanted them to come, but they trusted that they would be okay at my space.
Sure.
They knew it was a safe space.
And I think and then I think that like there's always that stigma of not just going to heavy music in general. I mean, since you know,
it has a stigma.
Since the 80s and we were Satanic Panic, everyone just thinks that it's like, oh, you know, it's like this occult ritual thing or whatever. Or the fact that, oh, you're sending your kids to a bar to hang out. Yeah. And, like, people from the outside looking in that don't really understand our world.
They don't.
There's a lot of, like, negative connotations from the outside looking in.
But on the inside, it's camaraderie.
Oh, totally,
It's partnerships. It's creativity. I feel like it's just... It breeds so many positive things for people. Yeah. Like, I mean, here we are, we work regular ass jobs, but we're still like putting ourselves in music every chance we can.
100%.
Just because I can't get away from it. Like, as many times as I say I'm never going to do music stuff again, here I am.
Sure.
Here I am. So I have a question for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
So if you look at it from a perspective of back then, what was like some of the bands that really influenced you to get actually into being a performer, into the art of music, instead of just being a fan?
Okay, yeah. So that's a good question. I feel like it came in waves for me, like that type of inspiration. First getting exposed to like a music that was a little grittier than like on the radio. Like, you know, we grew up like with nu metal and it was fine. Like I'm not here to shit on nu metal. Like,
no, don't shit on it. I love nu metal.
That's not my prerogative. I don't love it.
It's got its place.
I don't. So it gets a worse rep than I think it should.
I don't love
it.
But
I don't. Okay. But I don't love it. I mean, there's definitely some standout acts that get lumped into. Yeah. That's a different conversation. Yep. But that was like the mainstream, and I was just like, it's all right. Like it's got some aggression, but I don't know. I want something that like, that's different. Because I feel like some of that aggression, it's like pissed off for the sake of just being pissed off without a purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody puts Limp Bizkit on like at a party,
I'm breaking shit.
I'm not mad at it. Right. I'm not mad at it. Like I might even like bob my head a little bit.
Oh hell yeah.
But I don't.
It's a fun nostalgic thing.
But but I don't think it was like rebellion for the sake of just because.
Yeah.
But then I just started discovering, and I use this term loosely. I mean, people now would probably view them as pop punk, but like Epitaph, Hellcat bands like Rancid, and then earlier AFI and like even NoFX. Like I can't listen to NoFX now. In my opinion, it didn't
See, I kind of
well.
went that same way. Like I started with like new metal stuff when I was younger, and then I started discovering bands like punk rock bands like Rancid. Like I got into Green Day, and then I discovered like NoFX and all those bands and stuff like that with Rancid. So I kind of followed that suit too. Yeah,
that was my entryway, and I felt like those bands came from more of a sincere perspective. Than your your Coal Chambers and
you saw a deeper meaning behind it. You kind of felt that.
Right. And now looking back on it, I mean, a lot of that was kind of fluff too. But still, I mean, like, so it was like, from there, that was like my entry point. And I would go, I feel like I would go online before I knew anything about a scene in Arkansas. I was like, oh, punk rock, that's San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York stuff. That's cool. I want to be that, because here that doesn't exist. In my very naive, I might have been 12, 13.
You had the blinders on.
Yeah, and then I was originally born in California, but I would go out there every summer and I'd be like, oh, this is cool, because I'd be in the mall and it would just be like a dude in a NoFX shirt and a dude in like a Rancid shirt and then a dude in an Agnostic Front shirt. Yeah. And that's 5 minutes into walking into the mall. And then I see, a guy in a Misfits shirt. I was like, what the hell? When I go to like, when I'm walking around the mall in Little Rock, it's not like this. I see like a dude with like Liberty spikes. And I was like, this is sick. But in California, like in Los Angeles, there was like the K-Rock radio station. And they played like Bad Religion on like mainstream radio. It'd be like 311 Sublime, Bad Religion, and it was like mainstream music to those kids because they're just so exposed to it almost. Where wasn't that here? That was like outsider music here. But like I got a lot of my motivation in like, hey, I want to say, like, I got shit to talk about, And so that's where the punk stuff came from. And then from there, I kind of went into more. This is where I think we meet up. I guess I find out that there's a music scene in Arkansas, and there's a place in Dino's. And I've thought about this recently of like, what was my first show? And I think it maybe was an After the Tragedy show,
probably,
or that, or like a Rufio show.
Okay, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
It's been a while, and like so and this was early 2000s. I don't know, 2005. Yeah. Maybe 6. Not 6. Maybe 2005.
Yeah, more like 2003 or
3 or 4 maybe. But like what was king here at that time? It was your screamo stuff, and then your like Christian metal.
Your Ashes of Augustine.
Yes.
Your Maribel's Day of Doom.
And so
that kind of vibe.
Right. I think those bands hold up a lot more.
PM Today, After the Tragedy, all that stuff.
Those punk bands that I was into. But I was like, okay, so this isn't. There's some bands, but this isn't necessarily like the maybe they're not speaking about the same subject matter that I would like.
Yeah,
but
they're touching more on a base of what you're going for.
But the aggression is like pumped up to another level. Yeah. So like it's way heavier, way nastier, way meaner, way more aggressive, harder music.
Yeah.
And then so I would scratch that itch with like metalcore type stuff. Yeah. And then my punk rock itch, I would get that scratch too. And and so like one day I'm like I told myself I want to be in a band that's heavy and angry, hard, whatever, but still has like a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, it's more than just like emo self-reflection.
Yeah.
Or singing about God or whatever. Like,
yeah.
that wasn't my vibe.
Yeah.
It's just what we had, and it shaped who I am today.
Yeah.
So I was exposed to that. I went to those shows. I loved a lot of those bands.
Yeah.
Still do. But like, I kind of was like, one day when I can find the right people,
yeah.
I'm gonna
You start seeing that vision,
that I like, and we're gonna cram them together.
Yeah.
And I kind of started that with Jungle Juice.
Yeah.
But I think like that plan was more so executed in Terminal Nation, the band I'm in now.
I feel like Jungle Juice was like the party days of Stan.
Yeah. So a lot of like lyrically, it was a lot of like dark, self-reflective.
Yeah.
And then there was like some silly stuff like sprinkled in there.
Wild.
But yeah, so that was me at like we either started Ted and I either started Jungle Juice when I was like 17 or 18. And this was in a time, and I'm sure you know the time we're talking about, where like metalcore was starting to like taper off. People were kind of over it. You know, maybe it was just the violence at the show.
It was whenever like that was kind of the time frame in which I had owned Downtown.
Okay.
You know,
it was so. I think a couple years before you came to Downtown, or maybe a year and a half, something like that.
It was around the
time
same
moved fast.
Time,
like
from 2007 to 2010, it was a big blur.
Yes.
Totally.
Totally.
Of craziness.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because I feel like 2007 is like when like a lot of 2007 maybe into 8, we would get like pretty solid tours, like good like metalcore. At the time, it was called metalcore, and then I feel like the term deathcore was coined later.
Yeah.
But before that got really watered down and cheap, like, you know, deathcore got like really, really watered down when it still had like a earnest. I sound like I'm shitting all over this genre, but it was more rooted in punk, I guess. I feel like, or it was like punk dudes who were in bands like. That, you know, that played something heavier.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of those tours, and like me, you know, that was my outlet to act like an asshole or whatever. And then I
know.
And those shows start.
And I love you to this day.
Okay, well, I'm sure I spiked your blood pressure a little bit here.
Well, a lot of people did.
Well, yeah, I wasn't the only one, but I feel like I get a bad rep sometimes because I wasn't always an asshole.
No, you weren't. You weren't.
You know,
you were a good kid. It's just everybody back then didn't understand the struggles of like running a show.
Oh my
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From my perspective,
totally.
I was the person who was trying to keep Vino's booking heavy shows, and then we were having fights and stuff, and they just didn't want to have to deal with it no more.
Yep.
You know, it's
too
too
much.
much.
That long ago, and a fight broke out. The first fight in like, honestly, in years that I can remember. And I was like, no. So if this was Stan 15 years ago, I would have ran and then started throwing punches.
Yeah.
Here, I'm like, is this person okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to them after the show.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, and I don't give a shit. I don't care. But let's not ever do that again.
Yeah.
If you want to fight, like I'll record it. We can world star that shit across the street. I don't give a fuck, but not in here. Not while the band is playing.
Yeah.
So yes, now when I started booking shows, my perspective changed a little bit.
That happens.
And then just growing up too. You know,
it's all good. So you kind of feel like you started with, you know, a little bit of punk rock here and there, a little bit of new metal and stuff, and then you just progressed into wanting that deeper meaning and that deeper, you know, heaviness, aggression. You were trying to find that outlet that you really, really craved.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So like, I was and I wasn't really into new metal. That's just what was popular at the time. I was like,
you were trying to find your niche.
You know, I decidedly tried to avoid that, and that's how I got into punk stuff. And like I said, I like the message behind it, but it didn't hit hard enough for me.
So that's kind of what you've moved into doing, the Jungle Juice band and stuff like that, and that shit was just wild. Like if any band locally ever gave me panic attacks during their set, it was definitely Jungle Juice.
Okay.
Especially at Downtown when, you know, Brad thought it was just a great idea to just throw beer bottles in, like, from the stage into the crowd. And it's like, I remember distinctly flipping the lights on one time and standing at the bar at Downtown. It was just like, oh my fuck. please stop hitting people in the face with beer bottles, you know. But it's like all good fun, and everybody really enjoyed getting hit in the face with beer bottles.
I guess,
and
yeah,
so
if,
it was.
if that's what you sign up for. Yeah, I probably would not be
it was
partaking
insane.
in that. Yeah, it was insane. And it's crazy. Like, a lot of people are like, dude, that was the craziest band. So we had some crazy shows.
Yeah.
We played a lot of fucking terrible shows too.
Yeah.
Like, I think, there's
you guys were good, but it was, rough style,
Right. It was a acquired taste, if you will. But I mean, we had more terrible shows than we had good shows.
Yeah.
Like, we had more shows where people were like, fuck is this? Or we played to 5 people.
Yeah.
Or whatever. There was way more of that. And then, like, as when we just became like inescapable, when everyone's like, oh, this is that band.
Yeah.
And then, like, a couple years into, we started to get like that.
Momentum.
Oh, this is that band.
Yeah.
Then we could kind of ride that wave a little bit.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are like, dude, you guys were the craziest band ever. All your shows were insane.
Yeah.
They were all so violent. I was like, dude, some of them were, but then we played a lot of fucking terrible shows.
Yeah.
And it was because, I mean, like, we couldn't get booked anywhere. Well, Vino's kind of like stopped doing anything like heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Or stop shows, maybe?
Well,
that happens.
They got tired of it.
But yeah, and then like, we weren't really in. So this was when we didn't really have a foot in the door downtown before you came in there. Until Brad kind of helped us out with that.
Yeah.
But we didn't. So we didn't have downtown. Ain't no way in hell we're playing Juanita's.
Yeah.
Ain't no way in hell we're playing Juanita's. We're not.
That was hard to get into anyway for anybody.
In general, yeah. And I think, like, we could have done pretty good.
Yeah.
Like we had a crowd, but we just played all the time and stuff. Some of the early shows were just like real small, whatever. But like, when we started to build a fan base, we probably could have done pretty good at some of those venues. But I think nobody wanted to just deal with the headache.
Yeah.